Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. So, today we are going to dive into one of my favorite topics, which is how to build wealth the creative way, right? With really leveraging financing and other opportunities instead of your own. So let me give you a little bit of a background of how I did it, and then we can discuss more in general terms what it will be like. Now, stay tuned because at the end here, we're going to also have raffles. So I want to make sure that you know about that as well, since we're going to be announcing that. So, how I started with creative financing. So I did it different ways depending on where I was. As a beginner, I did it certain way, and then I'm going to explain to you how I did it as a beginner. Like where a lot of you are. Then as I was starting doing some deals, and then as I got more experience. Okay, so there are really three phases of how I did this. So as a beginner, I wanted to acquire rental properties. And so this was back in 91. I didn't have a lot of, I had some money because I had done some brokerage and investing when I was in Hawaii, but I didn't have a lot of money. I didn't have a job. I had very little credit. So I was looking to really get into the very creative side of things. And so what I did into what nowadays calls master lease options, contract for deeds, all type of things like that. And how did I find that? I actually shared something in the students group yesterday about how I really got that idea. It was something that was like a late night infomercial, cartoon sheets. He passed away a long time ago, but he was teaching how he was approaching people that wanted to rent out their properties and basically ask them the question, hey, I see you want to rent it, but would you be interested maybe in selling your property in the future? And if they did, then he would approach him and see if he could do a lease option to buy. So I got an idea from that. So that's when I took off and ran with it. And so about a year and a half, I accumulated over 40 doors with about $10,000 in passive income every month. And this was in 91, 92. So you can see that was quite a bit of money back then. So that's how I started. Now, as I was buying rental properties, I stumbled into other things like wholesaling, fix and flips. I'm not going to go into that today. But another thing I also stumbled into is I start talking to small regional banks. I start talking to other lenders, other people out there, mortgage brokers and so forth. So then I start getting all these properties brought to me and also tapping into REO, which is property foreclosed by smaller banks and credit unions, and also hard money lenders. So hard money lenders also have these type of properties, and they're willing to finance at 90 to 100% because they take property back, they foreclose on people, and so then they resell them out there on the market. So that's how I started with really. So, to summarize, there was lease option to buy, subject to contract for deeds. That's when I was dealing directly as a beginner with the owners, and then I started escalating into REOs. I started escalating, talking to different lenders and so forth. So things evolved that way. And then in the process of doing that, also had, learn about wholesaling and fix and flip and so forth. Now let's fast forward a little bit to the second phase, which was in 1997. So as I was also heavily wholesaling at that point, a lot of my buyers, obviously, I knew they had cash availability, right? Because they were buying my property for cash. So what happened with them, I went ahead and basically enrolled them, pulled them in to say, okay, why don't you go ahead and we partner together. I find the property, you put up the money, and we can buy some rentals or fix some flips. So basically, my wholesaling buyers, right, became my lenders, so my partners. And I have partners to this day that I've worked with since 97. So because we own rentals together. So that was the second phase. Okay. Now the third phase. So the third phase was in 2001. And what happened is at this point, I had the experience. I've done this for a while. So it was easy for me to go into what they call syndication, where we basically raise money on a higher level for different projects. So now we got into new development constructions, fix and flips, rentals, so forth. So by 2002, I still bought properties because, I bought properties and then I cherry picked the one we wanted, and the other one I did wholesale. So I did wholesaling as well. So by 92, we basically were doing everything: wholesaling, fix and flip, buy and hold, fix and flip over 20 properties at the time. And then we started building a rental portfolio and also got into new development. So you see how the phases moved along the way. Now you say, okay, well, that sounds great, but how does that apply to me? Well, first of all, you would learn from my own story, right? So that's the best way to do it. So one of those quotes, like by Tony Robbins, that say, find somebody who has mastered and be successful at something that you want to do the same thing, and you'll be successful too. Right? Simple, right? But a lot of people don't exactly do that. So with that said, it was a process. And I want to say to you, if you're at a point right now, you say, well, either if you have money, okay, so let's talk about this. A lot of you have money in retirement accounts, in IRAs, in 401ks, and so forth. My question to you is this: what is this money really doing for you? Right? And I don't want to be morbid here or anything, but think about it. We are always, and there's nothing wrong, I do it the same way, but we always save for someday, right? Someday when I retire, this and that. And we block all this money for someday, right? What if this money is good there for someday, but also can work for you now to build a better someday, right? So there are vehicles out there like self-directed IRA or other things you can do to really borrow against this money for you to invest and exponentially grow. Because you might have, let's say, $200,000 out there sitting. And what if you could leverage this $200,000? The $200,000 could become $2 million because of how you leverage and still recoup your original $200,000. So that's what self-directed IRAs are. So how do you find out more about that? Google self-directed trustee in your area. Some of the most popular out there is like Entrust, and they give classes and seminar on how to do that. Okay. The only thing I say, if you use any of your personal money, being self-directed IRA or line of credit to your house, whatever seed money you use that's personal, just make sure you have an exit strategy in place so that eventually you can refinance and pull that money out and pay you back. Because I see real estate more being like a monopoly game, right? So you want to use money from real estate to buy more real estate ideally, but in the beginning, you might have to start with your own seed money. So think about that. Money that is sitting in your retirement accounts is not really producing anything, just giving you a very small percentage return on your investments until someday you retire. But then this money also can be used as a seed to even get more net worth coming. And so someday you'll still have this money plus the money that this money was able to create. And how you do that is by using this as seed money through self-directed IRAs or so forth. Okay. So start thinking a little different about it if you have the retirement money. If you don't have retirement money, then it becomes down to one thing. Like either you do money partnerships with other people that have the money, right? Like I did, I partner with people. So a lot of them were my wholesale buyers. Or you, if you want to use private lenders or hard money lenders, they're going to look at two things. Okay, they're going to look at your experience level, and they're going to look at if you have any quote unquote reserve capital. You can have one or the other, right? Now, if you have a lot of reserve capital, then they're okay with you having no experience. If you have a lot of experience and you don't have a lot of reserve capital, they're okay with that too. But they like you to have at least one or the other. If you have no experience and no reserve capital, they don't care where you get the money, but for the down payment or your seed money, but obviously they want you to have more skin in the game. So that's how the private lenders will look at that. Now, if you work with money partnerships, again, they are going to partner with you And in the beginning, they might partner with you on a smaller amounts, and then eventually they're going to increase as they get um, more comfortable with you. Okay. So that's kind of the phases of really becoming creative and doing it. And like I said, when I started my career, I really put my hands into everything. There was no money down, nothing down, any type of books, late night infomercial, that type of stuff. Nowadays you have podcasts and stuff. So that gets you thinking on how to do this, right? Which brings me actually that I am going to do a workshop next week about this, about private money. And I'm going to share with you a little more specifics on how I really develop my business. So if you're interested in that, please sign up. The team is going to put a link here in the description for you to sign up for the workshop. But that's going to be next week. Okay. So I don't do this workshop maybe once or twice a year. So this is not something I do. And one of the reasons we did this live today is because I really wanted to talk to you about the workshop, because the workshop I go into more details. I go in how I invited these lenders to come to me and how I organize my private money team or lenders to work really almost exclusively with me. So things like that, because as anything in this business with real estate, if you don't ask, you will never know. If you don't ask somebody they want to sell their house, if you don't ask somebody if they want to invest the money, you're not going to know, right? And so that's the thing it comes down to. And a lot of time I see that, we are, and I'm guilty of that too. We are holding back because I don't really like to talk to people out there more than I have to, especially if I don't know. I mean, I think most of us are that way, right? And so it is, but the thing is, the times that I went out there and asked, like the time I went to ask my private, my buyers for my wholesale deals if they wanted to work with me, the times that I went out there and asked a bunch of people to partner and do a syndication, those are the times that things happened, and then exponentially grew. And if I had never asked, I would have never known, right? So what do you have to lose at that point? You can stay in the same place and do nothing. So that's the thing you have to do, because I'm a big believer, if there is a will, there is a way, right? And so that's where you come in at. So but that's the thing. And I can go into a lot of little recommendations and golden nuggets. If you see in the back there is a golden nugget. It's not really gold, but my daughter Liz gave it to me for Christmas because she said I always come up with these golden nuggets, these little pieces of wisdom that come from my experience of being in the business for 4 decades. And this is what I'm sharing with you today, is how I transition into the different type of financing, doing things. I started with just working with people, the landlord basically, they wanted to rent their places if they wanted to sell, and structure some lease option and subject to, which back then was more like a contract for deed. And then from there, I started working with smaller regional banks and hard money lenders who were foreclosing on people. And then from then, I went to work with my wholesale buyers to partner with me. And then from that, I went to work on a higher level with people that had money, because now I had established a precedent. So it was easy for me to present the opportunity, say, hey, I've done this. I have the proof here, closing statements. I need to do more deals. So do you want to partner? So that was an easy way to get people on board. But that's how it evolved in the industry. And like I said, next week, if you do attend the workshop, is going to be going in a lot more detail about everything that I talked about, because I know I just threw out a lot of you right here, right? Okay, so with that said, we are going to have a raffle right now. So let me see here. If they send me the name, team, I need the name for my raffle. So let me type it up. I have the raffle, which is amazing. I need the name. Let's see, I need the name. of the winner so that you know this is like in real life what I'm doing right now, because obviously I don't have the name here with me. Okay, just came through. So let me share with you what you're going to get, which is a really cool gift here. So you're going to get the closing day survival kit is called. You're going to get the candle. You're going to get elegant champagne glass, gourmet fine chocolates, champagne bottle, confetti popper. So we're not going to give you real champagne. You can buy that, but we're going to give you the popper. Now, the other thing I want to add to that, we couldn't give it to you here in this kit. You want to get a copy of your first check for closing. Nowadays, title companies wire the money. If you ask for a check, they're going to look at you like, you came back from the last century. But I always tell them, get a check, take a picture of it, right? And then tell them they can have it back, wire the money. If you do what, take a check, electronically deposit it. But most of the time, if it's a certain amount, which you're going to have, right? 10, 20, $30,000, the bank will put a hold on it. So it's up to you. But you can have the title company wire to you, just get the check, make a copy, take a picture, and then they can shred it, right? So this is good. That's the best thing. Like in new businesses, when they have their first dollar and they take a picture of it, right? The first dollar that came into the business, kind of the same concept. Okay, so this raffle will go to Tara LeBlanc Wilhite, I think you spell it. So make sure that you email to questions at realestateinvestingwomen.com within the next week so you can redeem your gift. So questions at realestateinvestingwomen.com. Tara LeBlanc Wilhite. I don't know if she's here. Yes, you were here. Actually, you're registered for the private money workshop. So hopefully you're still here, Tara. Yeah, you're there. Congratulations. Great. Okay. So now, if you do have any questions, team, go ahead and let me know if any questions are coming through about what I just talked about, which is creating wealth with money. Let me ask you, of everything I said, what was your biggest takeaway? What was the thing that went kind of aha moment for you? Anything you want to say? And then I can elaborate on that if you want to. Okay. So anything that you said, the big aha moment for you? Anybody want to share? So anybody want to share a big aha moment from what we discussed today? And like I said, my biggest thing I want to say to you, and that goes for anything as far as real estate, if you don't ask, you will never know, right? If you don't ask sellers, if you don't ask people that have the money, if you don't ask, you never know. And that's what you want to remember, in any business. A lot of us are afraid, what do you have to lose? Really, what do you have to lose? You're going to sit in the same place and, you're not getting anywhere, right? So, yeah. Okay. Well, none of you have questions. So, well, thank you for being here. So I'm hoping that I'm hoping I see you next week during the workshop. So if you feel like you got the great information, next week you're going to get even more details. I'm going to actually do something cool. I'm going to share with you my invitation, how I invited people to come. So what I did in 2001, I did, and I still have the original invitation. It's kind of a paper invitation because back then, it was more paper. And it's always more elegant, by the way. But the thing, what I did, I invited people to come to a workshop or a seminar where I explained to them how they could make money with real estate, more money, return on their investment. So I partner with Golden Nugget here, guys. I partner with title companies. I partner with real estate brokers I knew, mortgage brokers. And I said to them, anybody you know that has money, invite them to this workshop. And I will show you the invitation when we do the workshop next week. And so based on the invitation that I sent out via mail, I sent about 60 of them, 25 actually came, RSVP, and they came. And then that's where I got my first private lenders to work with. So I'm going to share a little more about the mechanics behind the curtains of what I did. And yeah, and like Ruth said, there are many ways to get money, right? If there is a will, there is a way. It's about you really focusing and being there and talking with people. That's all this business is about. Great. Thank you for being here today. And I will see you next week, hopefully. Take care.